Hello, in this video, I thought I'd do like a little poll on the very few people to get to watch this video. Well, it depends. If I'm talking about reform and why you shouldn't vote for them, I tend to get more views than if I'm talking about anything else. So, by the way, if you see this video, check on my channel. There's other videos that you might like that will definitely not get put in front of you. But anyway, so I want you to put in the comments, Nigel, Ben or Rupert. So, Nigel being reform, Ben being advanced, and Rupert being restore. Now, if you're still a reform voter, you would know that if you've seen my videos, I've been absolutely against reform, never supported them, because I figured out probably 7 years ago that Nigel Farage was a fake, a phony, and would just basically the continuation of the establishment. Just when the Overton window moves a little bit, he's the one that the establishment is using just to try to hold this establishment together, because they know it's going to fall apart. That's why it wouldn't be a total surprise to me if the Labour Party Starmer calls for a new election now before Restore has got the ability to actually properly challenge. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, if you're going to put Nigel, I want you to explain to me why you believe him. Because if obviously what they've been doing lately is they've been watching, they kicked out anyone in the party that was saying anything that was more right wing than Nigel. That's why Ben had to go, and that's why Rupert had to go, and others, and anyone that sort of actually didn't condemn Tommy Robinson or anything like that. So they're all gone. But then now what they're doing is they're realising what Rupert is saying is unbelievably popular, and what Ben has been saying up until last week has been really, really popular. And so they're just copying their policies now. And then they're going to claim that, these are our policies, we always felt like this. But so you've got to put why you actually believe them, not what they're saying the policies are, because I'm telling you right now, they have no intention of carrying out any of those policies. They'll just continue what we've been getting. And you'll continue to get what we've been getting. And it'll just be called reform. And that's when, if a civil war doesn't start before then, that's when a civil war actually starts. That's the moment where enough people go, it doesn't matter what we do, voting doesn't count. Right, now we have to do it a different way. A more persuasive, more kinetic way. Anyway, so, and obviously if you think that Ben is your guy, Ben Habib, then you put advance, or you put Ben, and just tell me why, short sentence why you think that, and obviously Rupert being restore and why. But the other thing I want to talk about in this video is, so when Rupert Lowe formed Restore as a movement, not the political party, I signed up very soon. Within a week or two, I think I was a paid up member, because I believe him much more than I believe anyone else. Obviously, I will say again, don't put him on a pedestal. He might let you down at some stage, but I have an awful lot more faith in Rupert than anyone else, as having, I believe he means it, everything he says. I genuinely do. But anyway, so he didn't form a political party. So then Ben set up Advance. And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I should support both of them. They're both doing the right thing in their own little way. And Ben was saying the whole time he wanted Rupert to be involved, and he wanted all this. Okay, so I was considering joining them, and I didn't. I put it off. And then he gave his speech 2-3 weeks ago, and he laid out his policies, and I was impressed. I was like, okay, I think maybe he certainly earned my support and that small amount of money from me each year to help Advance with their mission. And, I can be a member of Advance and Restore at the same time. I didn't. And then about a week later, Rupert Lowe just turned everything on its head in politics in the UK and formed Restore as a political movement. And ever since then, we've seen something very different from Ben, haven't we? So if you are still a Ben supporter, just tell me, do you like what he's doing now? Do you agree with the way he's going about things? Because to me, it sounds like wah, 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 wah. You know, why won't you join us? You know, he openly, publicly asked Rupert to join him, but then complains that Rupert publicly sort of said no or what have you. You know, like it's he's showing himself not to have the stones. And when I look into Rupert's eyes, God, I gaze into his eyes when he's speaking and addressing people on the camera. He has the gravitas. He has that demeanour about him that he's here. He's going to do his best. Now, I think that perhaps the establishment they certainly will do everything they can to stop him. So if there was to be, whenever an election is going to happen, whether it's going to happen before 29 or in 29, you know, when literally they take it to the very end of this government, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the shenanigans are like what they've been doing with Le Pen in France. Just make it illegal, ban, restore. You know, use our taxpayer money to commence the outrageous lawfare against Rupert and restore and anyone that would stand for them, and they would do. There's nothing below them. Understand that there is nothing so low that they would not be prepared to do it if it meant that they could have the continuation of their establishment. And it is a global establishment, and the end goal of it, if you are in any doubt, is to completely destroy Britain as an independent nation and make us so that we're all subject to global administration. That's it. That's what globalism is. One centralised government. Now, obviously, it does make me scratch my chin a little bit when I see how much they're promoting Islam, but they obviously believe that once we've been dealt with, that they can then deal with Islam, and maybe they can. Maybe if all of a sudden they decide to resist it, maybe it's not that difficult. Maybe these extremely low IQ people with no impulse, you know, that keep having sex with their cousins and their sisters, maybe they're not all that. Maybe they're not that capable. Maybe they're only as powerful as they are at the moment because they're being propped up. Quite true. I do believe if we take over the establishment and we decide it's done, we're going to be in for several years of absolutely awful terrorism attacks. You know, like it's going to get turned up to 11, but it can be dealt with the will, and I believe that Rupert has the will to do what is necessary. What is it? What must be done must be done. You know, you can't. You can't show weakness to an ideology like that because it only respects strength. It's the only thing it respects. So anyway. So in the comments, if you don't mind, if you made it this far, is Nigel, Ben, or Rupert, and a little explanation as to why. And I really appreciate it. And if this video gets a few more views, just have a quick look through some of my other videos that don't get the views because they don't get promoted. You might appreciate those as well. Anyway, speak soon. Bye.